Everybody come on in. This is Freedom Fighter. We will get started momentarily. We're going to let some folks settle in. Welcome home, everyone. I'm checking the volume just to make sure you all can hear me. Everyone hit like and hit a yes. Like and type yes if you can hear me. Make sure my audio is working. Oh, there we go. Thank you, our beautiful brunette grand. If anyone else can hear me, hit like, and type yes. Ah, okay. Thank you, She-Hulk. Come on in, beautiful folks. We'll get started momentarily. Thank you so much. Rochelle, Grease Monkey, Eddie Mantooth, come on in. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate it. Come on in, folks. Welcome home. It's good to see you, beautiful Sally I am. The Sniper. Thank you, Nikki 07062. King Drip. Let's go, champ. Thank you, Trader Randy. Hey, Randy. Randy from Twitter. How you doing, buddy? All right, come on. We're going to get started here momentarily. Blessed one, I miss you, young lady. Country chick, come on. The beautiful CWA, our amazing veteran humanitarian. I see you, CWA. The one and only Lady Unique, aka Miss Receipts. Y'all welcome each other in. Welcome home, everyone. Thank you, Linda Armstrong. The awesome Zach and Amber. Come on in. Welcome home. Welcome back home. Krista Holt Rum. Thank you. Ty Too Pretty. We see you. Thank you so much, Deborah Churg. Want to make sure we can hear you. 60 seconds. We'll get started. Come on in. Get settled in. Okay. I see you follow the bouncing ball. Follow the bouncing ball. Give me a 911 in the chat. All right. And the garlic stream bean. All right. We see you. Beautiful folks. This is Saturday Night Dialogues. It is February the 28th, 2026. We are at this point where we are going to go, not going, but we are here. Live streaming on YouTube to the world. Let's get to, folks. I'm going to jump into these topics tonight, and it's very, very jam-packed, especially because of what's happening in the Middle East region with the U.S. strikes and the war in Iran. It will definitely have an impact on currencies. And specifically, we're going to touch on how the U.S. war in Iran, how it will impact the Iraqi dinar in a positive way. Then we're also going to touch on what happens with Vietnam next month, March, and what happens after that. We're also going to touch on, as it relates to Vietnam, how the IMF gave Vietnam the green light to increase their exchange rate, but in a specific way. And Goldilocks shared this several months ago, and we're going to tie it into what Vietnam is expected to do next month with the FTSE. Then we're going to also touch on how war affects global currencies. All right. So, folks, that is going to be our agenda tonight. We're going to get into some quick prayer, and then we're going to get this party started. Father God, thank you for allowing us to be here. Thank you for allowing us to be present in your presence one more time. We ask that you allow each and every person that is on this call, that is listening to this live, and who will hear it after, to be touched in a very special way. We thank you for each and every person that is present. We thank you for each and every person that will listen. We thank you for each and every person that has stepped up to take this blessing that you have bestowed upon us to try to make a difference for themselves, their family, and even their communities. We thank you, thank you, thank you. In your precious name we pray. Amen. All right. Real quick, folks, I know I tagged some of you in the Telegram room yesterday, and I want you to make sure that you are here at the end of the call, because I'm going to recognize each and every one of you individually in a very special way, and I have a gift for you. I was very intentional when I reached out and tagged all of you. Make sure you're here at the end of the call so we can recognize you in a very, very special way. Folks, this call tonight, it is apropos that this launch of this live stream is at the cusp of the launch of the strikes in the Middle East, in Iran. But before we get into the meat and potatoes and the details of this call, I want to let you all know that, and I've always said this, I stand on the shoulders of two giants, and that is Goldilocks and Wiley. Especially they are the ones who laid the foundation, and Wiley many, many years ago, speaking truth, laid the foundation in this community. And I stand on the shoulders of Goldilocks and Wiley. And before, folks, we get into also the meat and potatoes of the call, I want to recognize someone very briefly, and then we are going to get this call kicked off. And you're going to be educated tonight, folks, on what Goldilocks has been sharing and has been sharing for years. That is going to show you tonight is connected to what is actually happening in the Middle East right now. All right, real quick, I would like for Alice, if you can join and come into the Telegram room. Oh, you're already unmuted. I need for anyone that glass half full. Oh my God, is glad to see you. I need all of you there are 22 people in the live in Telegram. I need all of you except Alice. And Sniper and Kiram. I need all of us to stay here. Everyone jump on the live in YouTube. Please do so right now. All right. Alice, are you here? Alice, you are unmuted. I can hear you breathing. Okay. Alice, can you hear me?
Hey, Freedom, I can hear you.
Okay. How you doing, young lady?
I'm doing good today. How about yourself?
Good, good. Is hubby with you?
He is.
All right. I wanted to acknowledge you very briefly on this call. You are actually you're the reason why we started this live, and you don't know why. I'm going to tell you why. 2 weeks ago, when we had the Saturday call, you read a quote from the Prime Minister of Iraq as it pertains to the Iraq's plan to do what?
To revalue their currency.
That is correct. But I heard something in your voice. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I'm right. But when I acknowledged you and asked you to come onto the call to read what the Prime Minister said about the Iraqi dinar that is going to revalue, I heard something in your voice. I heard you take a deep breath, and you said with emotion that you missed the tribe. You remember that?
Clearly, yes.
I felt your passion. I felt your emotions. And I slept on it and called Goldilocks the next day. And we decided we're going to begin to do this live because of what I heard from you. Your passion, your love. And I said, wow, if Alice feels this way, folks, because you're not aware, for those that are listening, our Telegram room, which is a private room where we were there physically 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, pouring in and helping each other to develop and prepare for the RV, where many, many members, including Alice and her husband, who are prepared with their relationships with wealth managers. But we ended up a few months ago turning that room into a read-only room. So we went from 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, preparation, education for the RV, and we decided it was at that time we helped enough people, let's take the room to read only. 2 weeks ago, Alice was on the call, and I heard it in her voice. She missed the tribe, the communion, the community. So I got with Goldilocks, and we decided, let's open it up, start a live, and bring you guys back into the fold on Saturdays. So, Alice, on the behalf of everyone, thank you. You are the one, you and Sam, that sparked this.
Thank you, Freedom. Yes, it's going to be really nice to be back in the community, open again. And we really, really, really appreciate your willingness to do so for all of us. Thank you, Freedom.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
And
You're welcome,
Goldilocks
Sam.
and Wiley.
Yes, indeed.
I know it's a lot of work, and your dedication to teaching us, educating us is unsurpassed. And I think I could speak for anybody that's been with us at least here for the past year and a half. We really, really appreciate and love everything that you do.
You're welcome, beloved. Thank you, and Sam. Hey, Sam, I hear you back there.
Yes, sir, buddy.
We
We greatly appreciate the wealth of knowledge that you express and openly and freely share with everyone. You cannot purchase this knowledge anywhere.
Yes.
You openly share, and you freely give not just your knowledge, but you give from yourself. The time, I don't think people think about how much time it takes to do what you people do.
Oh man,
And
we
that's so deeply appreciated.
we do it for you all. It's with love. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Let's get this party started.
Let's do it.
All right, folks. We're gonna have Peculiar Ram and also the Sniper. And folks, feel free, show your love in the chat. And real quick, tribe, when new people come in, if there's any questions, I don't care what the question is, please make sure you do what you did in the Telegram room. You educate them, show them love. All right, we trust you, we appreciate you. This is going to be a momentous occasion going forward on Saturdays, and we're going to help folks that are not prepared to get prepared. So let's get going. All right. Peculiar Ram, I think you are up first with me, I believe. But first, I am going to read. We're going to go directly to the actual source of information of the revaluation of currencies that is in writing from the Trump administration. And it reads, quote, currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of a potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit. But weakening the dollar could have a far-reaching approach and consequences. Folks, this is the core. You're going to hear tonight how Think of this. This is from the Trump administration on April the 15th, 2024, months before the November election in 2024, where his administration was talking about when he returned back to office, currency revaluation. Yes, the RV is his priority. We've been saying since he returned back to office to pay attention to everything he's doing. And it's connected to what Goldilocks has been sharing for the last 4 or 5 years of how the RV will occur. This is why Goldilocks has coined the phrase, watch the water. When you see the tariffs that President Trump enacted, tariffs, folks, is through trade on the water. This is where currencies move when countries export, import, sell goods and services amongst each other in the billions daily. It is on the water. And how do they pay? In currencies, mainly the US dollar. But that is changing. We're going to see tonight how Iraq is changing that. We're going to see tonight how Vietnam is changing that. Now we're going to begin to see very heavily how other countries are already doing that. They are removing themselves from the US dollar and shifting to utilize their own currencies in trade. It all comes back to currency revaluation is likely to be priority for some members of the second Trump administration. And folks that are listening to this live, in a few more lives, I may open it up to show these articles, how we would show them in the Telegram room live, literally right in front of you. I'm going to have to get used to this new technology with this live technology to be able to do it. I have no problem if we're able to do it successfully. But the RV is the priority of the Trump administration. And yes, beautiful people, yes, what just occurred in Iran is absolutely a part of it because currencies are directly connected to it. So now I'm going to share with you, and this is from an article from the Gulf International, and it talks about Iran and the Iraqi dinar. I'm going to repeat that. This article, there's write-ups about Iran and the Iraqi dinar. I did not say Iran and the Iranian rial. We're going to get on that in a moment. I'm talking about Iran and the Iraqi dinar. And it states, international sanctions creating a parallel market demand for US dollars that weakens the Iraqi dinar. That weakens the Iraqi dinar. Folks, this is talking about sanctions on Iran that actually weaken the Iraqi dinar. This is historically. I'm going to explain how. Number one, the smuggling of US dollars from Iran into Iraq and back and forth. It states significant amounts of US dollars from Iraq's central bank auctions are reportedly sold on the black market to Iran. Listen carefully. This is the smuggling of US dollars. And see the reason why this is because of the sanctions on Iran. Iran is not able to get US dollars legally. So what they do, Iran and its militia and its terrorist regimes and political influence and their militias on the ground, Iran has boots on the ground in Iraq to buy and sell US dollars because Iran cannot, because of their sanctions, they don't have access to US dollars through the banking systems. So they get US dollars from Iraq on the street. How has this historically affected the Iraqi dinar? Well, this is how. The way that it has affected the Iraqi dinar in a negative way to choke the value of the Iraqi dinar is because when people on the streets of Iraq sell US dollars to Iran in the streets of Iraq, They buy and sell those US dollars, and they exchange the Iraqi dinar as currency for the purchases of US dollars. And therefore, so what Iran does is they historically have smuggled US dollars out of Iraq back to Iran because they cannot get the US dollars in Iran legally. So Iraq was their middleman, if you will. And this historically has hurt the value, decreased the value of the Iraqi dinar. Next, U.S. restrictions. To curb this, it states, the U.S. has tightened control over Iraq's dollar reserves, which are actually held in the U.S. Federal Reserve, leading to shortages in Iraq and undermining the dinar's value. Are you beginning to see how the Iraqi dinar has historically been devalued because of Iran? So now think about currency revaluation is likely to be priority for some members of the second Trump administration. Trump's tariffs was a trigger. Now this attack and this war in Iran is another trigger. Next, it states about economic balance. The trade balance is heavily skewed in Iran's favor, roughly 10 billion in imports versus 0.2 billion in exports, forcing Iraq to constantly drain foreign currencies to pay for goods, causing further pressure on the Iraqi dinar. So do you see how this war in Iran, Iran has been choking the value of the Iraqi dinar in Iraq because they've been historically getting US dollars from Iraq and smuggling it back to Iran. So now President Trump says, I'm going to choke you, Iran. You've been choking the value of the Iraqi dinar by smuggling US dollars out of Iraq. I'm going to choke you. Well, he's doing a little more than choking right now in Iran. But think about this, folks, and it gets deeper than just the smuggling of US dollars in Iraq by Iran, but Iran's deep-rooted influence, not only in the streets of Iraq, but also in the political realm of Iraq, where Iran has strong, deep ties. Literally, they have militias, armed militias, that actually serve as the security force for many of the Iraqi politicians. Why? Because certain Iraq politicians are on the payroll of Iran. So these politicians in Iraq's political realm that are influenced by Iran very heavily, they are the ones who control the illegal finance market in Iraq, smuggling US dollars to Iran, therefore sucking the value of the Iraqi dinar. This has been done for the last this has been occurring for the last 25 plus years, especially since the invasion of the US into Iraq in 2023. Iran, with their sanctions that the US put upon them, used Iraq as a go around to the sanctions that the US put on them. So then I'm going to read something to you that's going to tie into also the reason why several months ago Iran announced that they're going to delete 4 zeros from the Iranian rial. Before we get to that, I'm going to touch on something else about Iraq and the dinar related to Iran. This is from another source, another article from Iraq and Iran. It states, given that Iran remains under constant scrutiny because of international sanctions, it was vital for Iran to gain access to hard foreign currency through Iraq. Are you listening? In 2012, for example, the Iraqi central bank announced that it was under a quote unquote currency attack. This is from the CBI stating that they're under currency attack. The dinar in 2012, that the dinar was under attack by Iran. For those that may not be aware, it was in 2012 when the late CBI governor, the late Dr. Shabibi, wrote the White Paper Economic Reform Plan, which is an 87-page document. It's literally an 87-page blueprint on how to revalue the Iraqi dinar. 87-page document called the White Paper Economic Reform Plan in 2012. And this was written in 2012 stating that the Iraqi dinar was under attack by Iran. And it states because, as it turned out, traders that buy US dollars would simply sell Iraqi dinars on the black market to Iran. But how they would do it? In Iraq. It was at that time that the sale of dollars in the auction, and we're going to touch on that because Goldilocks actually wrote about this just yesterday, about the auction of the process in Iraq just yesterday. And this is from 2012, where Iraq is stating that the dinar was under attack by Iran in 2012. So it states about the auction and how the Federal Reserve in 2015 came in to put the sanctions on Iran, and therefore Iran further picked up their attack on the dinar in Iraq's banking system. And it is live. Well, it may not be right now, but it was. But for the last, if you recall, for those that have been following Goldilocks, especially within the last several weeks, Goldilocks has been showing, and actually I put something out on Twitter about how Iraq's reforms that they've been implementing and executing very heavily was to get as many dinars off of the street and into their banking system, because Iraq attempted, and actually very successfully attempted, to go around Iran in order to further strengthen the Iraqi dinar through their reforms. So instead of kowtowing to Iran, Iraq, specifically the central bank of Iraq, implemented reforms so that the attack on the Iraqi dinar from Iran, basically it was a counterattack, if you will, through their reforms. Goldilocks has been sharing their reforms. Now, just so that if you're not aware, in November of last year, which wasn't but 4 months ago, Iran approved the policy to remove 4 zeros from the Iranian rial. They approved it in November. That doesn't mean on November the 1st they approved it, that November the 2nd they plan on revaluing or dropping 4 zeros from the Iranian rial. This is a process. So that was November 2025, several months ago. And what just happened? 2 weeks ago, the announcement that the Iranian rial has collapsed. Now, Iran is under attack by the United States. Folks, war is not a reactionary process. War is planned. When Iran decided to drop 4 zeros, they've decided to begin the process of dropping 4 zeros several months ago. And the Iranian rial just collapsed. Folks, it's not as if Iran wasn't preparing for something in advance. Iran has been hoarding gold and repatriating gold as well as many other countries around the world, just like Iraq is number 11 in the Middle East region for collecting gold. 30th in the country for buying gold. This is no coincidence what's happening with Iran and the US strikes. President Trump, see, the president of the United States is not just going to come out and say, I'm going to revalue currencies by tariffs, by attacking a country such as Iran, because they're choking the dinar. That is not something that a president is going to say. There is no benefit for him to do that. However, when you think about in 2017, when the journalist asked President Trump, Mr. Trump, what are you going to do against the currency devaluations around the world? His response was, I'm going to level the playing field. Folks, tariffs levels the playing field. Now, we're going to get into, I mentioned about the auctions that in 2012, when Iraq stated that there is an attack on the Iraqi dinar by Iran. Goldilocks has been sharing for the last several months about what Iraq has been doing with their auctions, with this exact system to strengthen the Iraqi dinar, to prepare it for an eventual revaluation. Just yesterday, Goldilocks wrote about it. Okay, you ready? I think you're ready. All right, young lady. Glad you're back. I know you had some family issues. I hope everything is settled down and you're ready.
Yes, I'm glad to be back.
All right, beloved. Now, folks, she is going to give you an article that was written by Goldilocks just yesterday. And folks, this is from the IMF. Remember, there are 4 agencies that oversee all currencies around the world. The IMF, the World Bank, the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, and the United States Treasury. Here we have from the IMF on the auctions in Iraq for the dinar with US dollar that Iraq stated that Iran was attacking the Iraqi dinar as early as 2012 through the auctions. And Goldilocks just shared something about this just yesterday from the IMF and what Iraq is doing to get around this so that they can strengthen the dinar before they revalue. Go ahead, young lady.
All right. Iraq's central bank is accelerating a key transition in its banking system, moving away from dollar-centric financial practices toward dinar-denominated interest-bearing instrument.
Okay, beloved, thank you. Folks, what she's reading you from Goldilocks is that Iraq is moving away from a dollar-centric financial practice. Remember, I just read to you a few minutes ago, how did Iraq say that Iran was attacking the dinar? Through smuggling US dollars out of Iraq into Iran. And here we have the Central Bank of Iraq stating they're moving away from this US dollar process. This was a reform that Iraq approved of through the central bank several months ago. And they have been implementing it, and they're ramping it up. To get rid of the US dollar in Iraq is also as a counterattack against Iran, and so that the Iraqi dinar can become strong enough to revalue. Go ahead, young lady, you can continue.
Tools like 14-day remittances auctions and central bank bills allow licensed banks to invest surplus Iraqi dinars with the CBI, earning competitive returns while helping absorb excess liquidity that has long plagued the system due to oil revenues and limited lending. This marks a deliberate pivot from past reliance on dollar auctions and USD holdings.
Repeat, if you can, one more. Now remember, folks, Iraq said Iran was attacking the Iraqi dinar and choking the value of the Iraqi dinar buy US dollar illegal auctions and market in Iraq. Read that last part again, directly from the IMF and what they're stating from Iraq, young lady.
This marks a deliberate pivot from past reliance on dollar auctions and USD holdings.
Mhm.
Since 2024, the CBI has banned dollar cash transactions domestically, ended centralized dollar sales, and mandated dinar use for internal dealings.
And demanded dinar use for internal dealings. You see how Iraq has been shifting away from, see, Iraq and Iran is like, they're neighbors. So it's like, and they consider themselves brothers. They're like twins. But you got one evil twin. I'm not gonna say which one is evil. You can figure that out on your own. but however, so the good twin is saying no. We don't want this dollar auction. We want to get away from. Now I think about it. Maybe the good twin knew that there was gonna be some bombs dropping and wanted to get out of the way. I don't know, but as you can see, Iraq has been preparing to separate themselves the best that they can from Iran's control of the US dollar in Iraq, because they knew they had to get prepared. Iraq knew they had to prepare. This is why the beautiful Alice, she read 2 weeks ago from the prime minister of Iraq that the central bank has a plan in place through their reforms to revalue the Iraqi dinar. A large part of that, folks, is to remove the US dollar out of their transactions into a dinar denominated process. You can continue, young lady.
Okay. Banks now handle international transfers directly with stricter rules on non dollar foreign currencies to promote dinar confidence.
Banks now, folks, this is directly from the source, the IMF in Iraq. Banks in Iraq now handle international transfers directly with stricter rules on non-dollar foreign currencies to promote dinar confidence. This is to promote the dinar confidence within the international banking community, within the international banking system. But in order to come to develop this confidence in the dinar for the international transfers, they had to begin to remove themselves from their evil brother, Iran. How did they begin this process? Through their reforms. How did they begin this process? Through their digital banking system, to get as many dinars off of the street and into the digital banking system, because the greenback, the US dollar and Iraqi dinars on the street is what was hurting the Just imagine, just think about it, folks. The international community, the international banking system, countries around the world, if they don't have confidence in the dinar, they're not going to invest in Iraq. They're not going to invest in more dinar bonds and securities and instruments that apparently and obviously back the Iraqi dinar. So what Iraq had to do, they had to further build the confidence in the dinar for the international community, international banking system. Also, we're going to touch on this in a little bit, and Goldilocks shared it. This is all a part of building the confidence for the World Trade Organization to also have confidence to give Iraq full accession into the World Trade Organization eventually as well. You can continue, young lady.
The importance of the Iraqi dinar is profound. By offering safe, yield generating dinar options, the CBI reduces incentives to hold or shift to dollars, curbing informal dollarization. This enhances monetary policy effectiveness, stabilizes the official exchange rate anchored at 1,300 IQD to the USD for the 2026 budget, and supports broader reforms like electronic payments and banking modernization. As deposit dollarization declines, and liquidity tools expand, the dinar gains resilience, fostering economic sovereignty and stability in an oil-dependent economy facing global uncertainties.
As deposit dollarization declines, this is in Iraq's banking system, folks. This is also in the Iraqi streets where Iran is smuggling US dollars back to Iran. It states as deposits of dollarization decline. So this is the decline. This is Iraq's way of choking the US dollar in their streets and liquidity tools to expand. Why? So that the dinar gains resilience, fostering economic sovereignty and stability of the dinar within Iraq, and global confidence will build in the dinar. You will begin to see, as we continue tonight, you will begin to see how Iraq has been planning for the revaluation of the dinar, folks, literally since 2012, when the late Dr. Shabibi wrote the White Paper Economic Reform Plan. So even as the late Dr. Shabibi passed on, the RV plan, which is called the White Paper Economic Reform Plan, just continued to the next CBI governor and the one after him, which is now Governor Alak. Iraq has been following the reform plans now, granted, yes. Because of Iran's influence in Iraq, it has caused major hurdles for Iraq to be able to revalue the Iraqi dinar. But as Goldilocks has been showing us through the reforms that the CBI has implemented over the last 2 to 3 years, they have directly implemented these reforms to prepare for the strengthening of the dinar to revalue. Even the prime minister, in his response to when he was asked by our beautiful member, Glock Ness Monster, who was here at one time, when she asked the prime minister at the Atlantic Council if they plan to revalue the Iraqi dinar, and his exact quote was that the central bank of Iraq, this is within their policy, and the reforms that they are implementing will strengthen the value of the Iraqi dinar. The reforms by the CBI, the reforms that Goldilocks is sharing here about the auction. This is all about Iraq's, the CBI, specifically the CBI, implementing these reforms to prepare for the strengthening of the dinar so that it can revalue. Now that what's happening with the war in Iran, I wouldn't doubt now that things will speed up. And I'm saying that with the utmost confidence, because of how currencies move as a result of war. Now, you're going to see another reform by Iraq. You're going to see several tonight. That's going to show you, folks, Iraq is not playing around about the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. Folks, I'm going to say this before I have Peculiar Ram read the next reform that the CBI implemented to prepare for the Iraqi dinar to revalue. I'm going to say this. If there was a beer can, an empty can of Campbell's soup, or Chunky, there has never been a can that was kicked by Iraq regarding the Iraqi dinar revaluation. There has been a strategic structure that they have followed, specifically directly by the Central Bank of Iraq. Folks, there is no one listening to the sound of my voice that is behind the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. You are actually ahead, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Iraq has been planning for this for years. They're not the only ones. They're not the only country. They're not the only currency. The reforms that Iraq has implemented, and there are others that they will continue. We're going to get on another one here in a second that Goldilocks to share. That's all to strengthen the Iraqi dinar so that it can go international and revalue. There has been no can. I'm be honest. I'll be straight. I'll say it again. There has been no can kicked ever. This has been a strategic process. Now, has there been negative influences? Absolutely. Iran has been that influence, and you see they're being dealt with now. Currency revaluation is likely to be priority for some members of the second Trump administration, largely part to the trade deficit in the overvalued dollar. It comes back down to the dollar, folks. This is why it's directly from the Trump administration of currency revaluation. It's because the overvalued dollar in the U.S., the overvalued dollar is what made the dollar so valuable in Iraq for Iran to use Iraq to get dollars. Therefore, what was the result? Choking the value of the Iraqi dinar. Now we're going to get into another reform that Iraq has implemented. And folks, these are not reforms that just popped up last night or last week. Iraq has strategically, since 2022, 2023, began to strategically, and over the last year and a half, Goldilocks has shared every single meeting that Iraq has had with the U.S., the U.S. Treasury, the World Bank, the IMF, and several international banks in preparation for the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. Here we have another one. Go, young lady. Iraq's increase now, folks. We hear about tariffs. People are beginning to understand the importance of tariffs. See, folks, again, tariffs is trade. Trade is on the water. Now we're going to see from Iraq and a reform regarding tariffs. You thought that Trump was the only one that raised tariffs? You're about to find out different. Iraq just did the same thing. And this is to increase revenue in Iraq apart from oil. They're diversifying their revenue to strengthen the dinar. This is another reform to strengthen the dinar so that they can revalue the dinar. Go, young lady.
Iraq's increase in customs tariffs, impact on dinar stability, WTO accession, and market-based exchange.
WTO accession, folks, just so that you're aware, WTO stands for World Trade Organization. Go, young lady. Oh, and when she's going to read ICUDA, the acronym is ASYCUDA. This is the Automated Systems for Customs Data. Folks, this is an electronic system that's owned by the United Nations, that all trading ports are connected to this system. This is where the dinar, this is where the dong, this is where the boulevard, this is where each and every currency goes through this electronic system on the water through trade, and this is where currencies move through this system. See, there's two systems of how currency moves daily in the billions. On the water, through the ports. When countries import and export goods, this is where tariffs come in, because this is where currencies move. This is where currency values move. That's on the water. The second is through the banking system. And that is where Forex in their trillions exchange daily, in the billions, sometimes, and collectively in the trillions on the water through trade and through tariffs. Now, when she reads the ICE cutter, that's just an acronym for the system what the dinar and all these currencies move through. Folks, you will hear, when you hear these things tonight, think of how currencies move and how they will appreciate in value for a revaluation is through these systems. Go ahead, young lady.
Iraq has implemented higher customs tariffs ranging from 5% to 30% on various goods as part of reforms tied to the rollout of the ISCUTA system following IMF recommendations to ease fiscal pressures without devaluing the dinar or cutting public salaries.
Pause. This is very important. So, folks, remember there are 4 agencies that oversee the revaluation of currencies around the world because they oversee all currencies: the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements, the World Bank, U.S. Treasury. This is IMF recommended this reform for Iraq to do to ease pressure from devaluing the dinar or cutting public salaries. This is where, if you all recall, about a week or so ago, there was some confusion about an article that came out from Iraq that stated Iraq has reported that they will not change the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar. Doom and gloom. Doom and gloom was all over. I said, no. We need to put something out to make people understand, to ease their anxieties. That was only where the IMF gave Iraq 4 options? 4 options. They're on the top of my head, I remember. In order to curb the issues with the dinar. Number 1, they could cut public salaries. Number 1 was they could raise tariffs. Number 2, they could cut public salaries. Number 3, devalue the dinar. Iraq said, we're going to raise custom tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the IMF recommended them. So why did the IMF recommend to Iraq? They gave Iraq these 3 options: devalue the dinar, increase your tariffs, be like a brilliant man over there in Washington, D.C. with that orange face and that hair called Trump. Be like him. Or cut public salaries. They said, we don't want to cut public salaries. They said, we don't want to devalue the dinar because we have reforms that we put in place to revalue the dinar. We're going to be like that wise man in Washington, D.C. called President Trump. So they raised the tariffs. This is what they did. So hope that gave some clarity. That's why, for those of you that, especially on Twitter, you saw we were like, no. This doesn't mean that they're gonna that the dinar is not going to RV. They're just saying. I'm sure you remember this because you ran.
I remember.
They're just saying that they're not going to make these changes. That they're not going to change the dinar as a result of these issues. They're just going to raise tariffs. Okay, now you can go ahead. Will this help stabilize the dinar? Is the question that Goldilocks posed and then gave the answer. Go, young lady.
Will this help stabilize the Iraqi dinar? Indirectly and in the longer term, yes, but short-term effects have been mixed or negative. The policy aims to boost non-oil revenues, curb smuggling, a major source of parallel market dollars, improve customs transparency via ISCUTA, and reduce dollar demand in informal channels. Combined with efforts to promote dinar use in domestic transactions, this supports reducing the official parallel exchange rate spread and stabilizing the dinar.
Now, folks, you see how they are implementing these measures to stabilize the dinar, reduce dollar usage and dollar demand. Just think, they were doing this without Iran attacking them for doing so. Iran was using Iraq to smuggle US dollars back to Iran because the Iran couldn't get US dollars from the United States or anywhere else because of the sanctions. Literally, the United States put a lockdown, the clamps, on Iran being able to access US dollars. So Iran used Iraq. And here you see Iraq implementing reforms right in Iran's face, saying, we don't care. We want our currency, the dinar, to be strong and revalue. We're cutting ties with the US dollar and you, Iran. Do you not believe, folks, that Iraq already had to have the support and backing of the United States by doing this? They needed protection. And this is not something they decided to do last week. This is something they've been in the process of doing. They just ramped it up even more so in the last several weeks. This is where you begin to understand that this has been a process. Iraq wouldn't do this on their own. When they didn't have the support of the United States, they couldn't do this because Iran had a total complete lock on their politics, on their streets, and on the dinar. That is changing. You can continue, young lady.
However, recent implementation has sparked protests, reduced trade volumes, caused temporary dollar rate spikes in parallel markets, for example, from 1400 to 1500 IQD to USD in some reports, and lowered customs revenues initially due to disruptions. Authorities have adjusted valuations, example, 25% reduction in average import values to ease burdens, and the central bank maintains no plans for devaluation, citing strong reserves.
Citing strong reserves, the CBI maintains no plans to devalue the Iraqi dinar. They raised tariffs to raise the stability and confidence in the Iraqi dinar. Go, young lady, you can continue.
Will it help Iraq move toward World Trade Organization accession? Yes, positively in key ways. WTO accession requires transparent, non-discriminatory tariffs, harmonized customs procedures, and compliance with trade facilitation standards, including the TFA.
1 second, beloved. Folks, did you hear this? Will it help Iraq move toward the World Trade accession? You all know the importance of this with the World Trade Organization. Goldilocks says yes, positively in key ways. The World Trade Organization accession requires transparent, non-discriminatory tariffs. What did Iraq just do? Raise tariffs. So you see how Iraq, I know you see this also, beloved Peculiar Ram. Folks, you see how Iraq is following a process to gain accession into the World Trade Organization, which also includes what they need to do in order to strengthen the dinar, getting rid of US dollars, and raising tariffs. Tariffs, folks, is through trade. What does the WTO stand for? The World Trade Organization. I hope you're connecting the dots, beautiful folks. I know you are. Go, young lady, you can continue.
The tariff revisions and ISCUTA adoption modernize customs, align valuation with WTO rules, reduce arbitrary practices, and unify tariffs nationwide, including with the Kurdistan region. Iraq resumed active accession talks in 2024 after a long hiatus, submitting market access offers and advancing legislative reforms. Customs modernization is a core requirement.
Customs modernization is a core requirement. Folks, by Iraq going live with the ISCUTA system in all their customs ports, remember, the ports, this is where the shipments, if you ever seen all of those For some of you might live in a city or a town where the trains, on the train tracks, they're carrying all of the goods, the cargo, and they go and that cargo goes on the water to the ports. And this is where the ports, the goods, the services, the products go back and forth in exchange, imports and exports on the water. This is through trade on the water, and this is where the tariffs are implemented. Go, young lady, you can continue.
Will this stabilization allow a move toward a supply and demand regime? Potentially, yes, in the medium to long term. Stabilizing the dinar by narrowing the parallel market premium, curbing smuggling through better customs controls, and increasing official dollar access via Ascada-enabled transparency could reduce distortions and allow greater reliance on market forces for exchange rates.
Pause 1 second, beloved. Now, what Goldilocks shared, this is just yesterday. And from the World Trade Organization about folks handling the smuggling issue in Iraq of US dollars. What did we read to you? From 2012, international sanctions creating a parallel market demand for US dollars that weakens the dinar. Dollar smuggling. Significant amounts of US dollars from Iraq's central bank auctions are reportedly sold on the black market to Iran. And that was in 2012. Now here we have, what is Iraq doing in order to cut smuggling? Implementing this digital system in their ports, because Iran doesn't have access to it. Go, young lady, you can continue.
Iraq maintains a pegged official rate but faces parallel pressures. Successful reforms could transition toward more flexible, supply-demand driven mechanisms over time, though full float remains unlikely in the near term given oil dependency and fiscal needs. Bottom line, transaction valuation priority ensures that the Iraqi assets being sold are the actual value to be sold at that price. This enables the mechanism of supply and demand to be accurately placed inside the digital iSCADA system. At that time, the CBI would be well informed enough to set a price on the Iraqi dinar.
This is very, very, very important, beautiful folks. Bottom line, Goldilocks is sharing. This system, the transaction valuation priority that this system implements, it ensures that Iraq access is being sold and the actual value of the price is accurate. This enables the mechanism of supply and demand to be accurately placed inside the digital system on the water in the ports. And at that time, the CBI would be able and will be well informed enough to set a price on the Iraqi dinar. Now, I'm going to pause and give you guys a quick history education. Iraq has already stated in writing. Goldilocks shared it, and we shared it about a year and a half ago, about Iraq's plan to delete 3 zeros and the potential rate of the Iraqi dinar. We shared it in our Telegram room. You remember that, Peculiar Ram?
Yep.
I'll just say that we shared it. So when Goldilocks is stating that the CBI will be able to put a well-informed setup price on the Iraqi dinar from these systems being implemented that the CBI and Iraq is implementing, folks, Iraq is following a plan to revalue the Iraqi dinar. If anyone that is listening to this at the sound of my voice, if you have any doubt, if you had any doubt, any concern, I would like to do my best to tell you that you can rest assured that Iraq has a plan in place. They are implementing the plan. The plan is in writing. It's that they've never been shy of what their plan is. Goldilocks has always shared the sources from where there's the IMF, the World Bank, the CBI directly. Not only that, but the actual, and I am a witness because I was on 2 direct calls with Goldilocks and D with the CBI. I'm sure you remember those 2 reports that we shared with you all, right? Because you ran
I sure do. Very exciting. Mm-hmm.
directly from the CBI folks. And actually, we posted podcasts for those updates. It's on the channel, just so that you're aware. But you can continue. Because you ran, yes, indirectly and modestly. Go ahead.
Yes, indirectly and modestly, the shift to transaction valuation priority in ISCUTA helps the Central Bank of Iraq, the CBI, better manage and defend the dinar's exchange rate.
This helps the CBI, folks, to better manage and defend the dinar's exchange rate. I'm going to explain what that means. Folks, when Iraq revalues their currency, when the CBI, this is the CBI is who's responsible, when they change the exchange rate, the revaluation of the dinar, there is no turning back. They have to have the confidence of the international community, but of course, at first, within themselves. But they have to be able to defend what that rate is. How best to do that? See, it's like the carpenter theory. Measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once. When Iraq does this, when they revalue the dinar, they change the exchange rate. They are making sure they measure twice and cut once. There's no going back. Because there could be drastic ramifications on the Iraqi economy if they don't get it right, meaning the rate. There could be drastic repercussions that it may take decades to restore if they get it wrong. Iraq is just making sure that they do everything possible through these reforms to get it right the first time. Go, young lady, you can continue.
Okay, we are beginning to see why watching the water is so important.
Yes. Now, this system, the automated system for custom data, folks, is very important. You don't need to know all the details about it. Just understand this is one of the reforms that Iraq is implementing in order to revalue the dinar. Go, young lady.
What is the ISCUTA system? ISCUTA, Automated System for Customs Data, is a computerized customs management system developed by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development.
Okay, 1 second. You just said something very key. The United Nations Conference on what?
Trade and Development.
Currency revaluation is likely to be priority of this potential second Trump administration, large in part due to the overvalued dollar and the trade deficit. Folks, the revaluation of currency comes back to trade. Why? Because this is where currencies move on the water. This is why Goldilocks has always said, watch the water. For years, Goldilocks has said, watch the water. This is why, folks, if you pay attention, Goldilocks has said things years in advance before they happen. And then what happens, Peculiar Rand?
It happens.
They happen.
It happened. Yeah.
Folks, there are things for those of you, this may be the first time you're listening to this call. You may not understand. And I just want to hope that that God gives me the words, the wisdom to share with you to understand the blessing that we all have, that Goldilocks can share the information that's shared to help us get prepared. Go, young lady, you can continue.
It serves as an integrated platform for handling international trade and transport operations in a modern, automated environment. Key features include processing manifests, customs declarations, import, export, and transit.
1 second, beloved. Folks, this is very important because it's all electronic. This is a new system. Iraq, several months ago, went live in most of their ports with this system, and they're implementing more ports. The port of Fa, I don't remember all the names. I just remember the Fa very well because I think of Vietnamese pho, because it kind of something right. Pho Fa. So that's what I think of. Yeah, lobster lady. Yeah, I know about that. Lobster lady, y'all, is from Vietnam. She's on the call. Lobster lady, if you're in the chat, I know Miss Vietnam. Say hello. You said hello early, but I'm just saying. So, the ports, this is where the electronic system, folks, before on Iraq's with the ports that they did operate their tariff, their customs, they actually transacted manually in US dollar, not electronically. Can you imagine the smuggling, the corruption of Iran controlling all of this? So what Iraq did, they went total electronic so that they can bypass the influence of Iran on the ports. Good, young lady. You can continue.
Managing accounting, transit, and suspense procedures. Generating trade data for statistical and economic analysis. Supporting risk management, pre-arrival processing, post-clearance audits, and paperless operations.
Mm-hmm.
The current version, iSCUDA World, is web-based, allowing data exchange with other systems via the internet, aligning with international standards like the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Goals: modernize customs operations, improve revenue collection, reduce transaction times and costs to boost trade efficiency, enhance security and compliance. In Iraq, full implementation of iSCUDA is seen as crucial for stabilizing the dinar by enabling traders to access US dollars at official rates through transparent, centralized customs processes, reducing reliance on parallel markets and addressing currency smuggling.
You see how this all comes back to what Goldilocks is sharing about this new system that Iraq, the system is not new, but Iraq is updated to include all of their ports through this electronic system, is to avoid the smuggling of US dollars by Iran. Why? Because it was choking the value of the Iraqi dinar. As long as Iran had a stronghold in Iraq, they could never revalue the dinar. Folks, let me ask you a question. Just think, and you're beginning to see this now, the influence that Iran had in Iraq. Well, some of you, I'm sure many of you have already known this, but several weeks ago, about 4-6 weeks ago, we shared the importance of what Iraq was doing then as far as getting dinars off of the street in Iraq and into the banking system. Again, this is reforms. That was to bypass the influence of Iran. Excuse me. And what Iran is able to do, which choked the value of the Iraqi dinar. But just think about all the influence of militias, terrorists in Iraq on the streets, buying and selling US dollars and smuggling back to Iran. I want to ask you all a question. With Iran having all of this influence, one, two-part question, and Iran having access to all of these US dollars and dinars, do you really think this administration would have allowed a revaluation of the Iraqi dinar while Iran, in the streets, the militias and terrorists have billions in dinar and US dollar? I don't think so, folks. Just think.
Nope.
Iran's influence. Iran, folks, you may not be aware, but Iran was literally selling, and we shared this, selling dinars and dollars out of the trunks of cars in smoke shops in Iraq. They had access to an unlimited amount of dinars and US dollars. They were buying dinars with US dollars. Buying US dollars with dinar and smuggling back to Iran. So just think, folks, think about it. You have these literally these boots on the ground Iranians in Iraq selling billions, exchanging billions of dinar and US dollars every day. Just think dinars. Can you imagine an RV and all of these militia people? Folks, these militias on the street, they're not operating independently. They're controlled by Iran and the mullahs and the militia leaders. Can you imagine an RV? What you mean instant Iranian terrorist billionaires overnight? Really? I don't think so, folks. No. Okay. But I just no. I just wanted to paint that picture for you folks so you have an understanding. You can tie in what's happening right now with Iran and the this is, you see people right now in Iran partying, streets celebrating for what's happening. I guarantee you in Iraq they're doing the same thing, especially the CBI celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
All right, young lady, you can continue.
Okay. Did we just read that this move for Iraq would be in full agreement with the WTO? Let's dig a little deeper to see what watching the water does for us.
Continue. You can continue.
Okay. In country, Iraq has already begun de-dollarizing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we are seeing de-dollarizing getting ready to be implemented fully in trade.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of the process of getting to a real value for the Iraqi dinar that the CBI will recommend.
If you could read that,
we are getting there.
Okay, no, you good. If you could read that last part one more time. This part, what? You kind of broke up. I just want to make sure everyone heard you correctly.
Oh, okay. Let me make sure y'all hear me. This is part of the processes of getting to a real value for the Iraqi dinar that the CBI will recommend. We are getting there.
Powerful. Now, folks, Q Ram is going to jump into the chat. Thank you so much, beloved. And the sniper's going to come up. Now we're going to touch on some more from Iraq, and they're ditching the dollar to strengthen the dinar. Then we're going to get into Vietnam right after that. Sniper, are you?
I'm here. Good evening.
Good evening, young man. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
All right. Iraq is actively pursuing and advancing de-dollarization in its trade transactions, particularly in the domestic commerce and increasingly in sectional international settlements.
Okay, this is very important, particularly in this is the Iraq de-dollarizing, folks, in trade, meaning they're saying, no, Iran, we don't want y'all, we can't have y'all doing what you've been doing because we want to revalue our currency. So they're saying, particularly in domestic commerce and increasingly select international settlements, ditching the US dollar. Why? Folks, the reason why is so that they can move to utilizing the Iraqi dinar in these international settlements. Go, young man.
Yes, sir. This is a deliberate policy direction led by the Central Bank of Iraq to reduce reliance on the US dollar, curb informal dollar flows, including smuggling and money laundering, strengthen the Iraq dinar, and promote financial formalization.
You can continue.
Key evidence from the recent developments in 2026. Domestic trade and transactions. Since January 1st of 2024, the CBI regulations, Digital Payment Regulation number 2 of 2024, mandate.
I know you remember that law. I know you remember that law when it went into act.
Absolutely. They made a post on the 1st of January 1st, 2024 that says we will now, take control and work with all the banks. Like they took lead and let it be known that the central bank is in control and they are moving forward.
Absolutely.
Yep. The mandate that all international commercial, trade related, and business transactions occurred in Iraqi dinars via electronic systems.
Yeah. This is very important, folks. This is so that all transactions, all business, internal commercial, trade related, and business transactions occur in Iraqi dinars via electronic systems. Go ahead. This includes bans.
This includes bans on cash dollar withdrawals, transactions for domestic use, with exceptions for limited cases like travel. The goal is to boost the dinar usage, electronic payments, and banking integration. International trade settlements. Iraq has expanded non-dollar options for imports from major partners such as China, UAE, Turkey, India, covering 70% of the imports. And then, did you want me to skip down to the?
Yeah, please do. No, you're good. Please do. Skip down.
Yep. This aligns with the global trends. Examples of the BRICS-related shifts, but Iraq's push is primarily domestic driven for economic control and dinar confidence. No reversal towards greater de-dollarization appears in current reporting. It's opposite. If you're tracking specific aspect like oil trade or recent announcements, more details could refine this. Right now, we have moved from de-dollarization in country to de-dollarization in international trade.
Repeat that one more again, if you don't mind.
No problem. We have moved from the de-dollarization of in country to de-dollarization in international trade.
Thank you.
This is a deliberate pivot by the Central Bank of Iraq to build more independent, diversified, and compliant cross-border payment channels. The Iraqi dinar needs to be synchronized between the two in order to move forward with the World Trade Organization.
Boom, 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 boom. Now, the sniper is going to read to you all again on these tariffs. How and why raising tariffs is going to strengthen the Iraqi dinar. Then we're going to get right into Vietnam and what they're doing next month, inclusive of how the IMF gave Vietnam several months ago the green light to do something that many of you are going to hear for the first time tonight related to the dong. Go, young man.
Okay. Did you want me to read the Somania currency market?
Nah.
Okay.
Iraq.
Right past that.
Yeah. Iraqi has chosen, because you might chop that name up. So just go to Iraq has chosen.
No problem. Iraq has chosen to raise custom tariffs and is working on implementing that policy. Raising custom tariffs in Iraq, as initiated with the new regulations on January 1st, 2026, is expected to have complex impacts on currency flows, trade volume, and local economy. By increasing tariffs up to 30% in some cases to curb imports, Iraq is trying to reduce its trade deficit, which generally leads to a decrease in demand foreign currencies like the US dollar to pay for imported goods.
Mm.
A low trade deficit or moving toward a trade surplus often strengthens a country's currency value and economic standing.
That's very, 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 very important, folks. Listen to this. A low trade deficit. I'm going to read something, and then I'm going to read something. A low trade deficit or moving toward a trade surplus. Folks, a trade deficit is in decline. It's poo-poo. A low trade deficit means losing money. Or moving towards a trade surplus, making money, often strengthens a country's currency value and economic standing. How does Iraq increase their trade surplus? Implementing tariffs. How did President Trump reduce the deficit in the United States? Increasing tariffs. Now, this is about the states, a low trade deficit. Remember, April the 15th, 2024, currency revaluation. This is a quote from the Trump administration. Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority of some members of the potential second Trump administration, large in part to the overvalued dollar and the trade deficit. It all comes back to trade, folks. This is where the revaluation of currencies begin. It's on the water through trade. Go ahead, young man. You can continue.
Yes, sir. By importing less than its exports, the country reduces the need for its currency to be sold in foreign currencies, supporting exchange rates. Based on economic principles and recent reports regarding Iraq's custom decisions, raising custom tariffs is likely to increase the demand of the Iraqi dinar.
And the demand, folks, this is where the value of the dinar in any currency is from the demand in the open market for the currency. So the demand for the dinar, the dong, the bolivar, every other currency, this is where the rates, this is where the value, this is where the price of those currencies begin to move up. Is the demand for them goes up. If folks, you got to think about, if there was no demand for the dinar, just think, if there is no demand for, I don't want to sound personal, but a person, a thing, or something, if there's no demand for, let's say, a car that is at a car lot, and for some reason, the car is on the lot every single week and month, over and over and over and over again, no one's buying it, you might begin to think something is wrong with it. There's no demand for that car. So what does the car dealership do? They start dropping the price. They're trying to get rid of it. They can't sell this car. There's no demand for it. There's no value in it. Same thing with the dinar. There was no demand, no high demand for the dinar. Now, I know some of you think, well, all these countries have dinar in their reserves. They're just waiting for the RV. Absolutely. But in trade, there was no demand for it. That's why it's not international. So what Iraq is doing is preparing for the demand for the dinar to go up, justifying it to give the confidence to the international community. How are they going about doing that? Through their reforms to cut the US dollar so that they can depend on the Iraqi dinar in itself, create the demand for the dinar. World Trade Organization says, Iraq, you've done a very good job with your reforms. You cut the US dollar. You implemented these reforms to reduce the smuggling of US dollar out of Iraq into Iran, cutting the value of the Iraqi dinar, increased your transparency. And then all of a sudden, President Trump puts the smackdown on Iran to further strengthen and help Iraq and the dinar moving forward. Go ahead, young man.
Yes, sir. Going into the IMF, Executive Board concludes 2025 Article 4 consultation with Vietnam.
Oh, this is very. I gotta set the tone. So, folks, what the sniper is about to read to you. Now, remember, we shared from the IMF what they stated about Iraq. We're going to take a little step back. What you're going to hear now that Goldilocks shared months ago from the IMF now on Vietnam. What the sniper is going to read to you is where and how this is a consultation that it's called the Article 4 consultation by the IMF for Vietnam. They also did the same thing for Iraq, the IMF. But this is on Vietnam now. Excuse me. Vietnam, folks, IMF gave Vietnam the okay based on their report. This is a year-long report that the IMF does with several countries in the specifically in the emerging market countries and their currencies, to give them a report card, if you will, and their standing of where their currency stands and what they can do in order to strengthen their currency or not, what they've done as far as implementing reforms and if they're ready or not. This is a report from the IMF on Vietnam several months ago, and Goldilocks shared it. This was from September of last year. The IMF did this report and they let Vietnam know that, Vietnam, you did such an amazing job with your reforms for the dong. You are ready to begin to move the dong in its exchange rate. And they put it in writing. We're going to share it with you tonight, folks, because it ties into what's going to happen with Vietnam next month and also in September. Good, young man. Floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Vietnam's economy rebounded strongly in 2024 and early 2025. However, the outlook is constrained by high global uncertainty on trade and economic policies.
Oh, folks, remember, this is directly from the IMF. Literally, this is a press release. Vietnam's economy rebounded strongly in 2024 and 2025. However, the outlook is constrained by high global uncertainty on what, Sniper?
Trade
and economic policies. Then they end up telling Vietnam what they can do with the dong. Go, young man, continue, and then we'll get to that part. Go ahead. These.
Yes, sir. There is room for greater fiscal support if the economic growth slows down markedly, while space for the monetary easing is limited, allowing more flexibility in the exchange rate and strengthening the resilience of the financial sector will be important. Directors generally agree. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good. Continue.
Yep. Directors generally agree that the policy mix should remain flexible to respond to a fast evolving and uncertain economic environment. Given available fiscal space, fiscal policy could be more prominent and prudently supporting the economic activity, especially with temporary and targeted support if needed. Directors underscore that the room to ease the monetary policy is very limited, and inflation and foreign exchange risk should be closely monitored, giving still buoyant economic and credit growth.
Now, he is about to read for you, folks. Listen very carefully. From the IMF, what they tell Vietnam that they can do with the exchange rate of the Vietnamese dong. Go, young man.
Yes, sir. They stress the greater exchange rate flexibility is critical to facilitate the adjustments to external shocks and underlined the benefits of accelerating the modernization of the monetary policy framework to better manage the risks.
Now, I'm going to read this again. I'm going to explain it because I know some of you folks may have missed it, but we're going to slow it down for you. First, the IMF outlined to Vietnam some of their challenges with their economy. However, their economy is robust and strong. They state as it pertains to Forex risks, stating, meaning the board of directors of the IMF, they, meaning the board of directors is they stressed to Vietnam that greater exchange rate flexibility regarding the dong is critical to facilitate the adjustment to external shocks, meaning because of the global political shocks, in order to overcome the shocks, they're telling Vietnam to in essence, to flex their exchange rate, to create a flexible exchange rate so that it can move up and adjust to the global shocks that's going to come. So Vietnam was given the green light to move and adjust their exchange rate. This is where Goldilocks has always said that the Vietnamese dong and other currencies, not the dinar. Dinar will be a fixed rate. Iraq has already made that very clear. But Vietnam will float their rate. This is where an exit strategy comes in, where there will be multiple opportunities to exchange the Vietnamese dong. I know that might sound confusing based on some of the things you've heard, but no. There is no such thing as double dipping. Having a strategy, for example, you can exchange at, I'm gonna just use a number, just an example, $1. You might have a total of 10 million dong. You can exchange 5 million if you wanted to of that dong at $1. The rate is expected to continue to float up. It may then go to $2, $3. You can exchange the other remaining dong that you didn't exchange at first. This is all options. This is all your choice. You have the control of this. The IMF has given Vietnam the green light. But now let me be clear, because some of you, I don't want you to get to the point of thinking, well, if the IMF gave Vietnam the green light, why don't they just revalue? Because there are other reforms and processes that Vietnam is in the process of, and we're going to get it to in a second, that further strengthens the Vietnamese dong. The IMF gave the report to Vietnam, basically stating, you've met Vietnam, you've met all the requirements fiscally to be able to revalue your currency. Now you can begin to flex, because if Vietnam just haphazardly just puts out a rate overnight without these reforms, it can cripple the Vietnamese economy. They're not going to do that. They're doing exactly what Iraq is doing. Measure twice, cut once. They want to get it done right. You can continue, young man.
Yes, sir. Vietnam's upcoming inclusion in the FTSE Russell's emerging market indices, effective September 2026, following an interim review in March, marks a significant milestone for its stock market. Shifting from frontier to secondary emerging status.
1 second, beloved.
Upgrade or not.
1 second. This is very important. Folks, next month is the review of the FTSE Russell. They were given the actual go-ahead stating that they will be accepted into the FTSE. Let me explain what this is. Vietnam's economy is officially being upgraded to an emerging market economy. The United States and other large economies are considered what's called a developed economy. Iraq, Vietnam, and others are considered emerging market, not developed, emerging market. Think of the United States as class A, fully developed, robust, large reserves, so forth and so on. Vietnam at one point wasn't as robust, but now Vietnam is the fastest growing economy in the Asian region and most part of the world. This is why they're being upgraded. Also, as a result, their currency has to upgrade. This is why in October, the FTSE Russell, the FTSE Russell is connected to all the stock markets around the world, including the London Stock Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange. For the first time, the Vietnamese dong will now have international access in the global financial system. The FTSE Russell upgrading their economy to emerging market economy now sets them on another level, and the dong on another level of access. Next month, March, they will have their final review before their official implementation into this in September. Note that this does not mean that there is a need for a wait per se in the sense of what you may think because of the date. This is just showing you what's coming. And also, for those that are listening, understand there are people on this call right now that have established relationships with actual wealth managers, wealth firms, and banks that are encouraging their clients to invest in emerging market currencies because they know what's coming. Vietnam is an emerging market. It's about to be upgraded. Go, young man.
Yes, sir. This upgrade, announced in late 2025, will trigger a phased inclusion of select Vietnamese stocks, around 28 to 30 eligible, into broader global equity benchmarks like the FTSE Global Equity Index Series and emerging market subsets.
Mhm.
This index upgrade is expected to attract substantial foreign capital inflows. Estimated range from 5 to 6 billion in total, passive and active, as global funds tracking the emerging market benchmarks must allocate to Vietnamese equities. Such inflows and increased foreign currency demand, primarily USD converted to USD for stock purchases, creating potential appreciation pressures on the Vietnamese dong.
This is where the creating of the appreciation in the appreciation pressure is appreciation, meaning appreciating as the value versus depreciating the value. This is where the pressure on the dong comes from for it to appreciate in value. Folks, this is no coincidence why President Trump, and even in his own personal company, the Trump Organization, broke ground $1.5 billion golf course, resort, and hotel in Vietnam last March. Just think, a sitting president investing $1.5 billions of dollars into an economy while he's the president. And no media. Just think, the legacy media they hate Trump. Every little thing. How many times was he impeached and all these different things? And he's Teflon. That's why he's Teflon Don. Really, Donald Trump. Teflon Don. Nothing fazed him. All these attacks, and they talking about he's doing things to enrich his friends and his billionaire. And he breaks ground on a $1.5 billion golf course in Vietnam and no peep from the media. No, not a word. This, folks, I'm telling you, these things are all coordinated. You remember Sniper, I know very well. I'm not asking you if you remember. You remember he broke ground when we shared it with everyone a year in advance that he was going to break ground. The President of the United States, folks, Donald Trump, broke ground on a multi-billion-dollar project. Sniper, name some of the companies that already now are moving to Vietnam with their distribution and manufacturing, major firms. You named a few last week. If you can rattle some off.
Yep. Google, Apple, Boeing, Walmart, Amazon. Those are some of the major ones. There's a few more after that. I got it on the tip of my tongue.
That's all right.
Those are just some of the major ones that made the move.
Go ahead. All right. You can continue.
Yes, sir. However, this does not push the VND toward a fully market-driven free float. Vietnam's currency regime remains a managed float under the State Bank of Vietnam, which actively intervenes using foreign reserves to stabilize the dong, target export competitiveness, and control inflation. The upgrade focuses on equity market accessibility. Example is settlement, broker access, and free float requirements, not Forex liberalization. The VND is not freely convertible, with restrictions on remittances and the SPV oversight persisting post-upgrade.
Post-upgrade, folks, meaning after this upgrade, then it's going to get pretty interesting on the value of the dong moving forward once it's officially implemented and they're in. Remember, there's a reason why the IMF gave Vietnam the green light to begin to flex and float the Vietnamese dong. Go ahead, young man. You can continue.
Yes, sir. While inflows could support gradual VND strengthening in the midterm and the medium term, especially if offset by controlled interventions, the SPV is likely to manage any appreciation to avoid harming exporters. Historical precedents from other markets show that emerging index inclusions boost equity markets more directly than forcing currency regime shifts. Overall, expected modest managed appreciation potential rather than a sharp or fully free floating scenario.
So what they're going to do, folks, is they're going to manage the rate up instead of bam, flipping a switch and the rate go to $5. They're going to incrementally move the rate up so that they don't shock the economic system in Vietnam and destroy their economy. They won't do that. Now, who is going to do that? Iraq has already stated they're going to do that. Vietnam and the other countries, they're going to manage their rates incrementally up. This is where we stated it's important. This is where Wiley and myself and the tribe were so adamant about establishing relationships with these bankers. They're telling their clients to get ready. But meanwhile, there are a lot of people that are not established relationships with these actual bankers involved with the RV to even be prepared. You can continue, young man.
Yes, sir. To be clear, we need the Vietnamese dong to reach the FTSE index inclusion to begin the process of currency appreciation. The MSCI index will fully liberalize the Vietnamese dong to its potential price marks. It is a step-by-step process that Vietnamese government officials are committed to going forward. It looks like the first index will be achieved this year in September. Know where your exchange price is for your own personal needs and plan accordingly.
Powerful, 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 powerful. Thank you, Sniper. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Now, folks, thank you, She-Hulk, for supporting the channel. I appreciate that so much. To get the word out, we appreciate any support. Thank you, She-Hulk. Now, Sniper, if you can jump into the chat. I am going to recognize some individuals here and right now. This is a very special moment, beautiful folks, and I want to acknowledge. I'm going to read some names, and I want everyone to stay right here. I'm going to read some names of some very, very important people. It's a lot of them, but you're all special. A man of few words in your daily activities in Dunland. G Peach, Georgia Peach. Lady Unique, Miss Receipts, the queen of The Queen Agent, she calls herself. Jan, amazing Jan. Ty Too Pretty. That Ty Too Pretty is our baby face assassin who has wealth managers, several wealth management firms. His now 4-year-old baby. This young man, golf outings with his wealth management firms. His attorneys also, so forth and so on. Brunette Grand, the beautiful, beautiful Brunette Grand. And her cheesecake, her wealth managers, 2 of them come to her house. This young lady has an exchange rate contract. No, I did not say contract rate garbage. Exchange rate contract where her wealth management firm as a fiduciary will exchange her currency on her behalf at a rate that institutions can get, not as an individual. Our wonderful, amazing, beautiful vet humanitarian CWA, RODH, Nova Knickers, our funny farmer, Beck's grandpa, our amazing man with his gifts. I'm gonna name some more. Alice, the beautiful Alice, and her hubby Sam. Kathy with a C, Charity and Peace, Groovy King, Terry Mini Crows. Terry Mini Crows, I think you went on your fishing trip with your wealth managers. Millie Cat, ER, the wonderful ER, CVC, Spark Plug, CNL's mom, the wonderful glass half full. Your glass is always full. Amazing leader. Also, these are leaders. Some of these are leaders. Our Brunette Grands, Ty Too Pretty, A Man of Few Words, Awless, leaders in the tribe. The Sniper, of course, the one and only Sniper. Queen JB7, Abundant Life, Pop Smoke, Pistol's mom, amazing leader, Pistol's mom in the tribe. TDJ, Lobster Lady, always going to get her lobster for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Stingray, JC, who had his, literally, y'all want to talk about a police escort. This young man was escorted by security to the, I think it was the 12th floor for his wealth management meeting. JC, if you're in the room, just type 12th. Armor of the Father, his amazing relationships he established. Of course, the one and only Peculiar Ram, amazing leader in the tribe, always on the ready to read articles. Shasta Smoke, Cabal Fall Down Boom, Lemon Clan Florida, Blessed One, as well. The amazing, awesome Zach and Amber, amazing leaders. Zach has, with this young man, has literally personally taken so many people and helped them to establish relationships with their bankers after him and Amber did the same thing. That young man has a Rolodex of people that he helped to get established with their bankers. Lemon Clan Florida, I think I mentioned you. Blessed One. Follow the Bouncing Ball. Man, my good man. Blessed One. Sally, I am. Yes, I am. The greatest hairdresser in America. Garlic String Bean. Yes. Greyhound Mom. Ed Extraordinary. Gratitude Z. ADB. Don't BS me. Curly Sue. Marcel. Curly Sue, I see you, Curly Sue. Liking, always reading in the room. Marcel from the Netherlands. Red Wagon, I see you all the time. Scuba Steve. Peaceful Aura. The awesome, amazing Debo. We call her Debo, even though it's Debo. Main Mama, always see you in the chat, liking, always reading. Jai, same thing. DR, Paul Heyman. You didn't think I saw you, Paul Heyman. I see you reading late night in the room, reading the articles, researching. Kathy B, Kathy with a K. Trisha, the amazing Trish who likes handcuffs. No, I'm just kidding. She likes getting speeding tickets. Oliver Palmer, I bet you're surprised I see you. I see you, Oliver Palmer, as well. Always liking, reading in the chat room. Folks, this is a chat room that was 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. We went to read only, but we continue to drop articles. We continue to drop the information. Wiley's wisdom notes information is still there. All of Goldilocks articles go there. All of the knowledge is still there, and people still go into that room and read. I see them. That's why I'm acknowledging them. But I haven't gotten to the good part yet. Psalm D1, Gemma R. I see you all the time. Bear Paul Patriot, I see you. Hodlos and his wife. Hodhouse and his wife. Live Now. Emperor. I always see you, Emperor. Jerry Killebrew. MW. You've been there from the beginning. Spirit. Kazuhiro Nishimura. Vicky. 0112. I always see you. Oh, you've been there from the beginning. KA. Misha Queen Bass, you were 2 weeks ago. You on the 13th and the 14th of February. You had your meeting at your bank on the 14th. You went back on the 13th. You went back on the 14th, and your hubby was outside in the parking lot. You came on the call and you shared that with us. We need your update. Also, Tattoo Pretty, you had your bank appointment on the 25th. I would love for you to share your update next Saturday on next Saturday's call. Jet Clampett. I remember you. I see you very well. Harv, when you were thrown out of other rooms for giving the love to Goldilocks, you were kicked out. But you know we shared the love and wrapped our arms around you. Matt H. CO. DE Patriot. Maria Davis. Ariel E. Umora Masakai. TSJ. Antonio Forex for Life. Claus, Tire Chick, you've been there from the beginning. Grounding Warrior, Alan Newton, I see you reading as well. Dr. C, Chandra, you know I know who you are, Chandra, through Twitter as well. You did such an amazing job. You were asking me when I first started posting on Twitter, Goldilocks articles, and you saw all that crazy stuff. You asked Freedom Fighter, is this you? Yeah, I know that's you, Chandra. I see you. Des, Sally O, you've been there from the beginning. Free the Young, Nickel Zinc, Texas Firefly, Digger, love your McDonald's coffee. Shadow CEO, yes. Shaggy 87, Stand for Something, and of course, She-Hulk. This is something very special. Now, for those names that I read, some of you, most of you have been here from the very beginning. Some of you, not from the beginning, but during the mid, when we were open in the room, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Some of you are new and recent, but I recognize all of you. We see you. I want to take a moment for all these names that I mentioned. I want to take a moment before we close tonight to recognize you and to do something very important. For about a year and a half, all of you, most of you, either showed up, supported, or to help this community to become what it is. It doesn't matter if you are like Misha, who's fairly new, but you started your process a few weeks ago on the 13th of February. Or if you're in the mid-range, if you were someone who started months ago, or if you were here from the beginning. I mention all of you because you're important. Many of you were here before the growth of this community. You were here before the visibility, when we were just in our private Telegram room before we opened tonight to the world in Telegram. All of this matters that you were here. So tonight, I want to officially recognize all of you, all of the names that I mentioned. I want to recognize all of you as founding members. You are the founding members of this community, and there will be a founders club, and we will, in the next week or so, create something that you all can be a part of. You all can hang your hats on. This community didn't start today. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to this. We started over a year and a half ago. It was built over time. And the people you heard me mention tonight, it is because of them that this community exists. You all are officially the founding members And there will only ever be one group of founding members. You are a part of that group, all of you. We appreciate you more than words can ever describe. For those of you who have supported this journey in different ways, your presence, your encouragement, your prayers, it truly matters more than you'll ever know. When Wiley, myself, Goldilocks, She-Hulk began this journey, you, the tribe, you, the founding members, whether it's from the beginning, even in the old room to now, you all built this room. You built this community. It is because of you that we all exist here. And there are not only thousands, but millions around the world that have heard your stories, your bank stories that many people didn't even believe were real. But you're all here. I would like for all of you, if I mention your name and you're here tonight, give me a heart and a like in the chat right now. Light it up. You are very special. And what I want you all to remember, you founding members especially, when you come to this call on Saturdays moving forward, for the people that come here asking for help, they have questions about wealth managers, they have questions about currencies, they need help. Remember, there is only one thing that Wiley, Goldilocks, and myself ever asked of you, and that is to reach back and give to them. Help those that come behind you, like you did when we were in the Telegram room. Continue to do so. Support the channel. Build the channel. This is your domain. We trust you. All of the names that I mentioned, we trust you to continue to reach back and help those that come behind. We love you. We appreciate you. This is the first live. The next one is going to get better, and it'll get better and get better. If you want to support, we appreciate you. Continue to show your love and support each other and support those that come from behind. Everyone have a good night. Be well, be kind. Next week, Goldilocks will bring more. I don't want to say bombs. I don't want to say bombs right now. That's not appropriate. But Goldilocks will drop more nuggets next week. And then next Saturday, when we go live again, it's going to be even bigger and better. And remember, in these chats on Saturdays, tribe, founding members, this is your home, your domain. Let's get it popping and share it with the world. Everyone have a good night. Be kind, be well. Until next Saturday, we love you folks. Ciao. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'll leave the chat open for a while if you guys want to light it up. I'll leave the chat open for a while. Thank you all for coming. When I figure out how to chat in the chat next week, I can be a little more active. You're welcome, Gina Lovejoy. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Jay Carter. Elizabeth Rax. Oh, that's ER. Elizabeth Rax. Kings of Savages. Thank you for coming. Diane Sharper. Thank you for coming. Carly. Oh, that's you, Scarlet Stream Bean. Thank you for coming, beloved. J33 Smith, thank you for coming. I see you, Spark Plug. Thank you for coming. The Conscious Project Can, thank you for coming. Our funny farmer, the beautiful Nova Nickas, thank you for coming. Darlene Taylor, thank you. I see you. I see you, Lady Unique Receipta. You're welcome. Thank you, C.A. Blusky. And we love you as well, Carla String Bean. And next week, I'll open the chat about 5 minutes before 9. Y'all can come on in and kick the party off early. So from moving forward, it'll always be about 5 minutes before 9. I'll open the chat. Thank you, Frederick. Frederick Starbaum 4478. You're welcome. A is Die 3450. Love you as well, Carlo Brown. Oh, you got it, my good man. Couldn't have done it without you, Wiley. Yes, indeed, J33 Smith. Appreciate you. Healer Mama. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, indeed, CS Spivey. Oh, you're welcome, Priscilla Morgan. Thank you. I see you, country chick. Take care of you as well, Healer Mama. We're so proud of you, founding members. So proud of you all. Proud of everyone. We're going to do our best to help as many of you moving forward to get your relationships. And these calls will get better and better. This was the first one tonight, but they'll improve as we go on. Thank you, Justin Poole. Yes, you're right. You're right. Absolutely, Justin Poole. Almost there. Thank you for being such an amazing leader, Peculiar Ram. We appreciate you, beloved, so much. Thank you all, you amazing leaders. I saw you, Alice. I saw you, Debo. Thank you all for leading the way as always. Thank you so much. Such amazing leaders. We are so blessed to have you all give back, share, and share your love. Don't forget, next Saturday, we'll open the chat about 8:55, and y'all can start coming on in. Oh, you're welcome, Charmel. It was necessary, and thanks to Alice. Alice, she kicked this live off. She was the one. But I think that this will help because a lot of people don't have Telegram, don't trust Telegram, don't have access to it. But now on YouTube Live, most people have access to YouTube and trust it more than Telegram. Same to you. And if any of you all see us on X, if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow us on X and engage, retweet, reply. Let's get the word out. Awesome, Country Chick. And feel free, Country Chick, you have any questions, make sure next Saturday regarding the 8 steps, just many of the leaders are here. We'll all chime in to help you along the way. I have my wealth manager and my trust account. Jose Zell Durant. What? Okay. Jose Zell Durant. I want you on the call next Saturday as a guest. Give me a thumbs up, a like, or something that you're okay with that. Jose Zell Durant. I love it. I have my wealth manager and my trust account. That is so amazing. Hosea Zell Durant. Let me know if you can attend the call next Saturday to share. Hosea Zell Durant. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I apologize. Much love to you, Raymond Davis. Wow, someone has done follow the steps and got a wealth manager and their trust account set up. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's the type of news we'd like to hear. That's amazing. Congratulations, Hosea Zell Durant. I gotta stop saying your name because I think I'm saying it wrong. But that's amazing. You got your wealth manager and your trust account. Folks, that trust account is where their funds, their exchange funds will go into. Thank you so much, Wiley. I couldn't have done it without you. I stand on your shoulders and the shoulders of Goldilocks. Amazing. Hosea Zell Durant, are you still here? Folks, make sure next Saturday you come with your questions so that we can help you. We will help you along the way to establish your relationships, your accounts, whatever you need for your exchange to be prepared. We will, and we may come up with even more ideas how to use the live to open it up to help more people. We'll figure it out. You're welcome, Morehouse. Thank you, Morehouse. Awesome. Deborah Churrick, 4105. Thank you so much. Awesome, awesome, Deborah. From the very beginning, Deborah. Uh-oh, we might have to get you in the founding member, Deborah. I didn't know. I didn't see you in the chat or what's your name in the Telegram room, Deborah? Deborah Cherry. Let me know what's your Telegram name, Deborah. Let me know, let me know. Can you all hear me? I want to make sure, because I asked Deborah and to respond and she didn't, and then I asked Hosea Duran as well. I don't know if something's funky or what. Oh, okay. Thank you, Peculiar Ram. Appreciate you, beloved. All right. When the song ends, we'll end the call. All right. Thanks, Raymond David. Appreciate you, Spark Plug. Glad you can hear me. All right. So those folks may be off, and I just wanted to find out. Thank you, Lady Unique. I wanted to find out what Deborah's Telegram name was. Thank you, ER. But I guess we'll find out next week. But again, next Saturday for the live call, we're going to open it up early, about 8:55. Thank you, Country Chick. We'll open about 8:55 and the chat room, so we'll be able to come on in before the call, and that might be a good time also for people to ask questions. But just come on in, 8:55. We'll open up early. Okay, All right, AS Die 345 would love to know step by step about the process. Okay, next Saturday, come on in early and ask your questions here, and we'll. There's plenty of leaders and people that will help you. AAS Die 3450, and we'll figure out how we get the 8 steps to be. We'll figure it out for you. All right, J33 Smith. All love here. This is a community of love, and we share it openly, with no hesitation. There you go. Yeah, the 8 steps in the Telegram room. Thanks, Wally. I gotta figure out how we as we move on, we'll be able to guide people into the Telegram room. That's where we want people to go to get the 8 steps. Yep. Okay. Next Saturday, AS Die 3450. Just come on in. Anyone and everyone. Appreciate that, She-Hulk, for dropping the link. Oh, you're welcome, Sabrina Brown. Thank you. Oh, okay. AS Die, you're not on Telegram. Got it. Okay. We'll figure it out for you. I gotta think. We'll figure something out, how to get everything to folks that are not in Telegram. I know a lot of people just aren't familiar with Telegram or don't like it. So thank you so much, one Nikki Love. Appreciate you. We'll get even better. The lives will get better and better. This is our first one. I hope I didn't screw up or make no mistakes, but if I did, I hope y'all didn't hear them or anything. All right, beautiful folks. Thank you all for staying and sharing your love. We will see you all next Saturday. We'll come in early, around 8:55 or so, before the call, and get the chat popping. Everyone, all you amazing leaders, founding members, make sure you're here early and get the live going. Everyone have a good night. We love you. We appreciate you. Everyone be well. Take care.